I learned how to never lose faith in my healing and my goals by this simple story in the Bible of Jesus and Peter. And I want to talk about this because what happens is it happens straight after Jesus fed the 5,000. Now, all of those 5,000 wanted to make him a king on the spot, but he stepped away from the limelight and went back to the true source of all his good, which is what I teach people to do. He went back to pray to God and to center himself. Now, why I'm telling you this story of Peter walking on the water is because it's a beautiful story around faith and trust in the divine. Now, let's set the scene, because the scene happens at the fourth watch of the night between 3 and 6 a.m., the darkest hour before the dawn. Now, this is a story of when you can have faith in God. Sometimes we go to the darkest points in our lives. We're fearing for our health. We're fearing for our business. We're fearing for the relationship. We're in fear. But that's when God asks you to come to him and have faith in the solution. Okay? So the disciples have been rowing against the wind for hours. So they've been going against the hits of life. Life has been hitting them, like you might have with your symptoms or other issues. They're exhausted, terrified, and Jesus starts to walk to them on the water. Now they immediately think that this figure is a ghost, so they scream out in fear, and Jesus says, take courage. So we're told to take courage in these moments where we're at the darkest moments, the hardest points of our life. So he says, take courage, don't be afraid. And Peter just screams out, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water. And Jesus just says, come. What does the water represent? The water represents consciousness again, just like I told you in the previous video about the Virgin Mary. So we must go to the consciousness. We must let go of our fears to be able to come to the sea of consciousness, to be able to create from a place of faith. Now, what happens? That means, like I'm teaching many people in the relax, release, re-intend method, it's about letting go of fears and trusting in something greater than yourself, in the consciousness, in the peace that you've created within your body. Okay, so Peter gets out of the boat and he walks on the water to Jesus. He now starts to overcome the issue. He's now aligned with faith. Now, this is the thing. Peter gets out of the boat and walks towards Jesus, but when he saw the winds, he became afraid. This is where he doubted the power of the solution or the divine within him to see him through to the realized goal. Now, this is teaching us here that you are going to have doubts and fears. You are going to question it at times. You're not perfect. Even someone living in that time with Jesus, there could not have true and utter faith in that moment. So what happens? He fell again. He starts to sink, and he says, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus reaches out his hand and he caught him. This is what we need to know. You have that beautiful best friend within you. You have that Jesus Christ consciousness within you, the I am within you. Okay? So Jesus says, you have little faith. Why did you doubt? So I realized it's my fears. It's my making gods of things outside of myself. It's me getting caught up in the illusion of reality that it has any power over the divine. So I make a god of it. But let me just go a little bit deeper into this and why it is quite a hidden gem. It's the I. It is I equals the I am. In Greek, Jesus actually said ego eimi. Now, I am going to say that absolutely wrong, and I don't care because it's not important. But it's the same phrase that God uses to Moses. It's that I am that I am, okay? He wasn't just identifying himself. He was declaring his divinity in the middle of the storm. And that's what we must do. In chaos in your life, you must claim the divinity within you. This is what we're being taught here of faith. Yes, you're going to face storms. Yes, life is up and down. But when you can come back to that centered, peaceful place and claim from the I am within you, you can overcome any issue. Again, just reminding you, the fourth watch, 3 to 6 a.m., the darkest, coldest, most hopeless part of the night. So it's being in that storm, being in the part where you feel so lost. And many of you that watch this, because of my lessons around letting go of fear, you may feel in the darkest storm of your life at the moment. But what it is telling us is go back to the consciousness, go back to the peace, go back to the ease, regardless of circumstance. And that's where God and Jesus will come into your life. That Spirit, the Holy Trinity can take over in your life. Now, Peter didn't fail. He's the only one who got out. He was the only one who had a moment of faith. Now, this is what most teachers miss. 11 disciples stayed in the boat. Only Peter stepped out. Little faith is not no faith. Okay? He didn't say, you faithless man. He just said, you of little faith. Peter's faith was small but real, so he still overcame the challenge of impossibility, even if he fell at one point and had to reach out for Jesus again. So taking that step outside the comfort zone of the cage that we've created in our lives around the issue that we're facing, this is what happens. The other thing I need you to know is the storm didn't actually stop when Peter stepped out. He didn't step out when it was peaceful and he could trust it and he had no fears. He stepped out of his comfort zone even though the chaos was still happening. He still went into life. He still went with a bit of faith. You only need the faith of a mustard seed to change your life, okay? And then immediately when he failed, when he started to sink, Jesus reached out his hand, which lets us know that even when we fall, that spirit, that loving presence that wants to create through you, heal you, will reach out its hand and grab you again. So you must continue to push your boundaries of what you believe is possible for you, because that's where faith comes. You see, faith isn't the absence of fear. It's letting go of fear long enough to be able to trust that you can take a chance in life. This is why I never lost faith again, because what I realized was it wasn't about stopping the storm so I'm constantly safe. It's realizing that even in the storm, there is the light of God there, shining, guiding me, loving me, wanting to nourish me, wanting to bring me the solution, wanting to bring me all good things in my life. This is what I know to be true. So that little story there teaches us so much. We must start to find peace and trust in the storm of what's going on in our lives. We must step outside of the boat, which is the cage that we've created for ourselves through our circumstances. We must start to walk through the consciousness of our mind, which is the water. And we must see that there is a loving, infinite presence there that wants to guide us and help us. Yes, we may falter when we take the first step towards faith, but who is right there waiting for you? That presence again, looking to give to you, bring you up, love you, nourish you, guide you, reach out its hand when you need it most. So this isn't about perfection, guys. This is about taking a step in towards faith and trusting that you will be guided if you don't get too distracted by the circumstances of life. And if you do, what do you do again? You go back straight to the consciousness, and that faith will grow in you again and you will be saved. This I know to be true. This is what is true for you. And I'm going to see you at the next video, guys. Comment down below, I can walk on waters, if this spoke to you.